Many believe the tariff war is just a rhetorical jab in President Trump's election race. But what's the reality? It's no mere jab. It's a tempest tearing through the three greatest pillars of the modern world order. Welcome to WorldView Today, where we dare to ask the big questions and challenge what everyone assumes to be true. China and the three tariff traps. Trump's table flip was no accident. April 9th. No holiday, no prior announcement, no warning signals from the markets. Yet, in just a few words, President Trump left financial markets, trade advisors, and Beijing itself holding their breath. He announced a 90-day tariff suspension for nearly every nation, with rates slashed to 10%. A gesture of détente? A chance for policy recalibration? Not quite. Because in the list of nations granted leniency, one country was conspicuously excluded: China. Instead of relief, China faced a staggering tariff hike to 125%, a figure that sent shockwaves. And it was this jolt that triggered three carefully laid traps set by Trump. The first trap: strategically isolating China. Many see this as a straightforward economic punishment. But in reality, Trump is redrawing the map of global trade relations. When the U.S. announced a 90-day tariff reprieve for most of its trading partners, it unleashed a domino effect. The rest of the world breathed a sigh of relief, temporarily safe, and stepped back from confrontation. The result? China was left standing alone. No longer a global showdown of the U.S. versus the world. It's now a one-on-one duel. America versus China. A battlefield Beijing isn't fully prepared for, and the longer it plays, the more isolated it becomes. The second trap: psychological and media warfare. A 125% tariff isn't just a financial figure. It's a psychological sledgehammer, a blow to China's prestige and global image. Western media pounced, splashing headlines worldwide. China's markets shuddered. The yuan slid. Foreign investors grew jittery. Meanwhile, the U.S. emerged as the reasonable player, unflinching against China, yet open to dialogue with the rest of the world. Trump seized the narrative, painting Beijing as the reckless rogue while positioning Washington as the architect of a new trade order. The third trap: the time trap. 90 days. It sounds like a brief ceasefire, but in truth, it's a golden window for Trump to tighten supply chains, rally allies, and wait for China to stumble. While Beijing scrambles for a response, Washington is busy forging new trade deals with Japan, South Korea, and the European Union. They get tariff relief and temporary perks in exchange for quiet commitments to shift supply chains away from China. China is frozen in a standoff, while the rest of the world is invited to the trade banquet. Trump didn't flip the table. He reset the game. With these three traps: strategy, psychology, and time, Trump isn't just hitting China with tariffs. He's wielding the artistry of a master strategist. He isolates his rival, dominates the narrative, and reshapes the global playing field. When Beijing retaliates with counter tariffs, they unwittingly tighten the noose. Trump's response: a cool declaration: play by the new rules, or you're out of the game. Is this blow strong enough to bring Beijing to its knees? Or will China strike back with a surprise move, devaluing its currency, squeezing American firms, or doubling down on tech self-reliance? One thing is certain: since April 9th, the world is no longer the same arena. And China, like it or not, is now playing a game refereed by Trump. What do you think? A stroke of genius or a dangerous gamble? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to WorldView Today to stay on top of the latest developments. Three pillars crumbling, and a new game begins. Many assume the world is merely adjusting after the pandemic and economic crises. But the truth is far more severe. We're not just seeing fleeting changes. We're standing in the midst of a wholesale reshaping of three major pillars: economic, political, and geopolitical. And at the heart of this storm lies the showdown between the United States and China. 1. The global economic order, the world's factory, is cracking. There was a time when China was the planet's manufacturing hub. churning out everything from the iPhone in your hand to the sneakers on your feet. But that role is now under serious threat. Each year, the U.S. runs a trade deficit exceeding $900 billion, with much of that flowing to China. To a traditional politician, this might be the necessary cost of globalization. Not to Trump. As a businessman, he sees an America dangerously dependent, its manufacturing gutted. And that's unacceptable. Trump's approach isn't to patch up policies, it's to tear down and rebuild. He doesn't just want balanced books. He aims to bring factories back to American soil, reconstructing a manufacturing fortress, from the tiniest chip to the largest electric vehicle. Once capital, technology, and supply chains start fleeing China, the old economic order will collapse, dragging Beijing's economic superpower status down with it. 2. The domestic political order, a silent surge within nations. America is deeply divided. Europe is fracturing over ideology. But it's in China where the political order is trembling most, despite its outward calm. Under Xi Jinping, power has been consolidated into a single iron grip. Yet this hyper-centralization is cracking the party from within. Factions in the military, state-owned enterprises, even the foreign ministry show subtle signs of discontent. The tighter Xi's control, the stronger the undercurrents of resistance grow in the shadows. It's like a volcano on the verge of eruption, silent on the surface, but with magma building below. The political order Xi has painstakingly constructed resembles a sandcastle, vulnerable to collapse from a single external wave or an internal detonation. The global geopolitical order, the map of power is being redrawn. Ukraine, a small nation, has become the flashpoint reshaping the global balance. The US, Europe, and NATO are reinforcing their alliances. New blocs like Quad, AUKUS, and IPEF are rising to counter China. The South China Sea, Taiwan, the first island chain, all are now battlegrounds without gunfire. China once believed it could rise quietly, but it miscalculated. The West's silence wasn't passivity. It was preparation for a comprehensive encirclement. The more aggressive China becomes, the more isolated it grows. A new geopolitical order is taking shape, with the U.S. setting the tempo and China sidelined from the center stage. Open conclusion: an end or a beginning. 3 pillars are trembling. But who will build the new order? Can America hold its crown? Or will China strike back, perhaps by aligning with Russia to elevate the yuan as a global currency? Or are we entering an era of uncertainty, where no one truly wins and all must learn to survive? Fallout and response. China stumbles into 3 pits. The first pit, exposing its true colors. When hit with tariffs, China didn't negotiate or compromise. It doubled down with a tit-for-tat policy. The result? It only proved it has no interest in playing by fair rules. The second pit, dumping U.S. treasuries. It sounds like a threat to rattle Washington, but in reality, China's the one bleeding. Selling fast and cheap, they're left holding cash with nowhere to go, because no currency matches the dollar's clout. A move that's essentially self-sabotage. The third pit, total isolation. While Xi Jinping hosts regional summits, hoping to woo ASEAN nations to dodge U.S. tariffs, those countries are quietly picking sides. The U.S. doesn't just have money, it has the world's biggest market, and everyone wants to sell to the deepest pockets. A war beyond tariffs. Trump isn't just punishing China. He's dismantling an old economic order to build a new one. A global trade system with America at its core, where nations wanting access to the U.S. market must choose a side. He's aiming to revive domestic industries, especially autos, shipbuilding, and semiconductors. These aren't just job creators, they're strategic pillars of national power. The battle of the 21st century, China could still fight back, but that would require forging a coalition akin to a 1930s tariff alliance, breaking away from the U.S. The problem? Who would join China in such a gamble? For now, Trump is the one smashing the chessboard and carefully placing each piece to his advantage. The question remains, does China have the nerve to flip the board? Or will it keep sliding into the pits it dug for itself? What do you think of President Trump's tariff strategy? A bold move to save America? Or a double-edged sword plunging the world into a dangerous spiral? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and share your perspective. If you found this analysis valuable, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment to support WorldView Today. It fuels us to deliver even deeper insights.